Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
You're listening to Believe You Me with Michael the Count Bisping.
You know my name yet?
And Anthony Lionheart Smith.
All right, Herringbone, how the bloody hell are you?
Dude, I'm great. It's fight week. We got a UFC pay-per-view this Saturday, so I'm fired up. I love Monday mornings on fight week.
Well, thank you very much for being well and being on time and not being muted. And on this occasion, having a better light setup than myself. I'm on the road. I'm traveling. I'm in an Airbnb currently, but I'm here. I'm doing the show. Anthony's not here, so you got to put up with Harrington a lot. I apologize. It's a running joke that's kind of died a death by now, so you do a fantastic job. Let's just talk about this at the weekend. Let's just start with that, right? You've done a great job on the notes as always, Harrington. Lots and lots and lots to discuss about. Jake Paul's versus Mike Tyson has been made professional rules. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about UFC 301, and the entire fight card and a bunch of, I think, quite interesting non-MMA stories. But our co-host, Anthony Smith, I'm assuming right now is on a plane flying down to Brazil to take on Vitor Petrino on the main card of UFC 301. And I got to say, I'm very nervous. Not because I don't think he can't win it. He can. But anytime anybody fights, you never know what's going to happen. You just never know. I do believe that Anthony's a better mixed martial artist. By far, I think he's more technical. He's got more experience. If I was to give Vitor Petrino an advantage, I would say he's the young, hungry lion. He's the undefeated guy. I could see an argument to where they would say that he hits harder because he's a big, powerful dude. And when you're undefeated, it makes you kind of reckless. Now, being undefeated and that making you kind of reckless may play into the advantages of Anthony. And we wish him all the best. Of course we do. Of course, I'm going to say that he wins. But I'm not going to lie and say I'm not nervous. The man's lost 3 out of his last 4. So that's why the pressure comes. And I'm sure Anthony's feeling it more than anybody. But you know what they say, Harrington? What did they say?
Pressure makes diamonds, baby.
Pressure makes diamonds. Just ask Dustin Poirier. So let's go, Anthony. Let's go.
And it's really impressive that he's turning around so quick after he just beat Ryan Spann up this weekend.
It really is. Bogdan Guskov got the win over Ryan Spann. Knocked him out in the second round, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I didn't see the fights because I'm traveling. I'm international, baby. But I did look at the highlights, and I did see that he did that. I didn't like the fact that Bogdan Guskov knocked Ryan Spann out.
Why not?
Why do you think that is?
I could not tell you.
I hope Anthony doesn't see this because in a weird way, fighters make everything about themselves, right? Uh-huh. And Anthony went to a close decision with Ryan Spann the second time. First time obliterated him. Second time went to a close decision. Bogdan Guskov, who I don't believe is yet ranked, just knocked him out. And that might affect the psyche a little bit. Maybe I'm reading far too much into it. Maybe I'm wrong. But you understand the point that I'm making.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, Anthony knocked him out on his first try. So let's see Bogdan get in there for a second time with Ryan Spann and do it. Then it could get in Anthony Smith's head. But I think he's got this.
Correct. I do think he's the better mixed martial artist, as I said. I think the key to victory for Anthony would be to wrestle a lot. Not that I don't think he can't stand with him. He can. I mean, against Glover Teixeira, which granted was 2020, so 4 years ago, but his hands were lightning fast there. But I think that's the best bet for Vitor Petrino. For Anthony, I would like to see him wrestle. I would like to see him take him down to the ground, and I think he's got a gigantic advantage there. So I'm going to say Anthony Smith via submission. What are you saying, Harrington?
I like that. I similarly was thinking, Anthony Smith he's in a position to be a bully here, right? Like he's in a position to take a guy who does not have that much experience and really show him, you've beaten some guys in the, in the unranked portion of the, the lower end of the UFC light heavyweight roster. You have not faced somebody like Anthony Smith, not to bring up the Neil Magny comparison, which I know he hates, but I mean, we just saw the same thing happen to Mike Malott, right? Like a little too much, a little too soon for somebody like Vitor Petrino to be calling out Anthony Smith. Here he is getting his wish. And yeah, I think it's going to be, I think he, like I said, bully him, get him down. I like, a little bit of ground and pound. Once he's got him compromised, just finish it with the fist. Don't give up, submission over position. Just keep throwing those hands until the referee has to step in and take you off of him.
So on the contender, Petrino beat Rodolfo Bellato via ground and pound in round 2, got the contract, beat the Pleasure Man, quite possibly the worst nickname in all of mixed martial arts, Anton Turkal by decision, choked out Marcin Prachnio via arm triangle in round 3, knocked out Modestas Bukauskas with a vicious left hook in round 1, and then last time out beat Tyson Pedro and actually forced Tyson Pedro to retire for a split second and then come back reinvented as a boxer. So we're talking about the fights. Let's just piggyback on this. Let's just go with the flow. Let's continue. UFC 301. Let's be honest. The main event, Alejandro Pantoja, incredibly exciting fighter. I love this guy. Steve Erceg, I think it's fair to say that maybe even Steve was surprised. I think I did read that this week, that he was kind of surprised that he got the title fight. But he's 3-0 in the UFC. What have you done for me lately? He knocked out Matt Schnell in the second round, face planted him, knocked him out cold. And Alejandro Pantoja has on paper all of the opportunities in front of him to go down to Rio de Janeiro in front of his wildly passionate fan base and have a standout performance. Take out Steve Erceg, the young kid. He's only had 3 fights in the UFC. Just demolish him and fucking have this sensational performance and send everyone crazy. But it's those ones, it's those fights that you got to be careful of, because nothing's guaranteed in mixed martial arts. I hate to bring it up, but I knocked out Luke Rockhold. I'm sure he was thinking the same thing. Oh, I'm going to smoke this guy. And I'm sure a lot of people thought the same thing. And there's so many examples of that where people think, oh, I've got this one. I've got this one in the bag, 100%. And then guess what? At the end of the day, it's 2 men or 2 women. They're only human beings, and they've all got the ability to win. So it's not a given, but I'm going to say Pantoja gets the job done. No offense, Steve Erceg.
I don't know, man. There's something about this guy, man, like a little real life Rocky story. Like, look, at the end of the day, I get what you're saying. The resume isn't that deep for Erceg, especially at this level, beating the most high level talent. But Matt Schnell is a credible opponent, right? He went in there on the same night that Muhammad Mokaev did, knowing that Alexandro Pantoja had to fight somebody. There had to be a fight book for this guy coming up. They both went in that night and said, whoever makes a bigger splash has a reasonable shot, a reasonable claim to a title shot. Mokaev went to a tough 3-round decision. Erceg went out there. The moment didn't get too big for him, and he knocked out Matt Schnell. And it's like, I don't know, if you're riding that kind of momentum where you see this opportunity and can create it for yourself, why couldn't you just slam the door and prove everybody wrong?
Herringbone, listen, you're right. Listen, that's not a bad theory, okay? And far be it from me to be playing down his chances, okay? He's, 11-0, I think, or 12-0? 12-1. 2 knockouts on his resume. So yes, granted, last time he had a beautiful knockout. The chances of doing that against Pantoja, who's got a ridiculous chin, who has a really good gas tank, even though he doesn't pace himself whatsoever, which could be the path to victory for Erceg as the fight gets into the 4th and 5th rounds. But against Moreno and people like that, he was getting tired, but he has the ability to dig deep, to find the 2nd win, the 3rd win, the 4th win. On the ground, Pantoja is ridiculous. He can wrestle like a mother effer, trying not to swear as much. And on the feet, he's not shy at all. And one of the biggest battles for Steve Erceg being, hold on, how old is he? Let me just have a look right now. He is only 28 years old, so he's not a child. He's not 22, 23, 28, 12-1, flying down to Brazil. Going in there, all those people, those crazy fans that are going to be going psycho, especially if the King of Rio gets the job done in the co-main event, all screaming Voma Hojera or whatever the hell it is, however you pronounce it. That's going to be one of the biggest challenges. Because for me, at one point, I had the most wins and fights in the history of the organization. When I fought George St. Pierre, even though I had torn ribs, okay, I got to get it in there, but it's true, I still feel like I was a little bewildered by the magnitude of the moment. As many fights as I had had, I'd fought all over the world, but I was like, shit, man, this is Madison Square Garden, baby. This is George St. Pierre. We're defending belts. We're doing $1 million pay-per-view buys. Do you know what I mean? The magnitude still got to me, and I was 37 years old. And I think at that point I'd had, I don't know, 27 fights in the UFC, 28, 29 even. So that's going to be one of the biggest challenges for Steve Erceg.
Yeah, I've never actually processed that side. But on the flip side of that, right? Could it be a thing where he's too green? You know what I mean? He doesn't even know what an incredible opportunity is in front of him. And it's just about, beating the next guy in front of me, right? Like actually doing that, like just next guy up, beat him and keep it moving. And before you know it, you're champion.
And that's the great thing about mixed martial arts. You get those opportunities, you just go out there and swing. And you know what? Maybe that will be the key to victory, because it's like, you know what? I don't care. Fuck it. I'm the underdog. No one's giving me a chance. Pantoja's probably overlooking me. So I'm just going to go down there. I'm going to get a fat payday. I didn't expect to be in this position, right? If nothing else, I can say I topped a main card. I was main event of a pay-per-view. I fought for the UFC championship. And what's the worst that can happen? I lose. And guess what? When you have that mindset, it's very freeing, because guess what? If he loses, I was going to say he's in the same position as what he was when he flew down there. But he's not. He's a former title challenger. He's got probably close to another $500,000 in his account. Most mixed martial arts fans will know his name. Okay. So there's nothing but gains for Steve Erceg, So anyway, best of luck to him. I've got Pantoja though. No disrespect, Stephen. I think he would even understand why I would say that. This episode is brought to you by Shopify, which is the e-commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Okay. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a businessman or woman, if you have an idea, you got to get online, you got to sell to the entire world, and Shopify will make it extremely convenient. It will be very, very cost effective. In fact, we have an incredible deal for you. And realistically, you've got no more excuses. Shopify will then let you cover every kind of sales channel, from an in-person POS system to an all-in-one e-commerce platform. It will even let you sell across all the social media marketplaces like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. It is packed with industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth. And Shopify will give you complete control over your business and your brand without having to learn any new skills in design or code. And there's also 24/7 help available. There's an extensive business library course, and Shopify is there to support your success every single step of the way. So what more are you waiting for? It's time to take the plunge. If you have a business, Shopify is what you're looking for. If you want to get online, you will be able to accept every single major payment method. And right now you can sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/believe. Go to shopify.com/believe to take your business to the next level today. Shopify.com/believe. Well, let's rip through this other main card real quick. We spoke about Anthony Smith, Jonathan Martinez versus Jose Aldo. Did we go in depth on Jose Aldo last week? I kind of feel like we did.
I don't believe so. Not springing to my mind. No.
Okay, good. Maybe it was a YouTube video that I did. Jose Aldo coming back last time out against Merab Dvalishvili. Oh, and I did a show for TNT Sports as well. So I did a show for TNT Sports. I did a YouTube video with my predictions before I left. So I'm just getting bloody mixed up. Last time we saw him, as I said, against Merab Dvalishvili, right? And you think, oh, well, Jose Aldo, he's not the same guy. He retired and all the rest of it. But I'm telling you, you dig a little deep on Jose Aldo, and anyone that knows the sport knows this anyway. The losses to Merab Dvalishvili. Before that, a 3-fight win streak. Marlon Vera, Pedro Munoz, Rob Font. Prior to that, 3 losses. But Piotr Jan, former champion. Alexander Volkanovski, one of the greatest, if not the greatest featherweights that we've ever seen. Then it was 2 wins. Renato Moicano. There was a loss to Marlon Moraes as well by a decision. Split. And I thought he won that fight as well. Then he beats Renato Moicano. He beats Jeremy Stevens. And then before that, it's 2 losses in a row to Max Holloway and earlier 1 to Conor McGregor. You know where I'm going with this. He's only lost, being that long in the tooth, to the absolute creme de la creme.
Yeah, and then after that, right? Like while he's been gone, it's not like he's been sipping Mai Tais on some beach somewhere, right? Like he's been boxing, and he hasn't lost a boxing match since he left the UFC. So this isn't some guy who's coming back for a payday. I don't think. Like this is a legitimate threat to be in the top 5, top 10, of whatever division he happens to be fighting in at that given moment.
So I read last week the reason that he's coming back also is that he started doing a bit of boxing, which of course the training on the body is nowhere near as intensive. And just throwing hands, the body started to feel good again, because all the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu, the knees, the elbows, you name it. It takes its wear and tear. I mean, I'm sitting there doing this every 2 seconds with my neck because I'm in goddamn agony. So I know firsthand, as do almost every single mixed martial artist. But all the time away that it's been, the body started feeling good again. Is that, you know what? I've still got this. I feel great. He's going to come back to Rio. He is the king of Rio. He is beloved. He's a massive, massive draw. No doubt he's getting a fat paycheck. And apparently it's the last fight on his contract. And then he's trying to get on the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson card. Now, I don't know what his chances are of that, but I literally read that. I think it was Yahoo Sports or something like that. But hey, fair play to the guy. Fair play, right? Because Jose Aldo is an absolute legend of the highest degree, but it ain't going to be easy against Jonathan Martinez, a man that is now beating people the way that Jose Aldo used to beat people. What do I mean by that? I mean, using the leg kicks to absolutely devastating effect. Last time, I think it was Adrian Yanez. Smoked him, man. And Yanez, we love Yanez, friend of the show. Amazing fighter, ridiculous hands. And I think it was the second round. I forget which round it was, but he just destroyed him. One after the other. Nasty, nasty kicks. There was another fight before that as well. Martinez is a bad man.
Yeah, that was the Saeed Nurmagomedov fight, and then Cub. He also got Cub with the TKO to the legs. So, yeah, that's just he's a bit of a monster. But I mean, did you see? By the way, I just thought this was very cool. It was originally supposed to be Dominic Cruz.
Yeah,
Cruz was in training camp for the Aldo fight, and he got hurt. And then last minute, you get Jonathan Martinez instead. So,
when was that? When did that injury take place, or when was the change up?
I don't know. It was just disclosed. It was disclosed this week, just around like the fight news and people talking about it. I'm assuming it was pretty early on in training because this was announced months ago. Yeah.
I got to tell you what, that would have been cool. Dominic Cruz, Jose Aldo. That's like one of those bantamweight fights that got away. It's almost like it's not as bad as John Jones versus Anderson Silva or GSP versus Anderson Silva because they're different weight classes. But you know what I mean? Two legendary bantamweights finally going at one another. Granted, I think it's fair to say neither of them in their prime, but just for nostalgia purposes, just for the hardcore fans, people that used to watch the WEC back in the day, and of course for the people of Rio. And for any mixed martial arts fan, that would have been sick to see. Dominic Cruz injured again. I wonder how long he's going to keep trying, because you want to talk about a man that has been riddled with injuries, man.
Yeah, it's like that's one of those big career like if you could redo anyone's career and take out injuries, like what does DC's look like? He might have one of the most interesting like hypotheticals for that.
Well, you're not interested what mine looks like with 2 eyes? What the fuck, Harrington? Jesus Christ. Oh, what would DC look like if he had an eye? What would Dominic Cruz look? What would I be like? How effective would the count be? 2 eyes, baby? With 2 eyes?
you lost an eye in what? Maybe 6 months out of the cage? Dominic Cruz is putting up 3, 4, 5 years out at a time, Listen, like it's a little different.
If you're giving out sympathy for anybody, I expect the sympathy. And then, of course, we got Scotland's old Paul Craig taking on Caio Borraio. We tried to get Paul on last week. Either the WhatsApp went down in Scotland or he absolutely couldn't be bothered. And I don't blame him because it was last minute, so it was. Paul Craig, we all love this guy. Caio Borraio doing big things. I tell you what, for Paul Craig, I said this to him because we did an interview. I said this to him. I said, Paul, listen, man, you've had some big wins, but talk about tough matchups. I'm just scrolling down to it here. Hold on, where are we? Right. Look at this for a run. Shogun Rua, absolute legend. Jamal Hill, former champion, Nikita Krylov, badass and a tremendously talented, big, strong, tough, durable fighter, Volkan Oezdemir, title challenger, Johnny Walker, potential future title challenger, a man that's just a monster of a human being, makes his middleweight debut against Andre Muniz, who on paper could have been one of the very worst stylistic matchups for him, gets the job done. And then they give him Brendan Allen, who was on like a 5 or 6 fight win streak in the UFC, loses that. And now they give him Kyle Borhayo, the main guy of the Fighting Nerds, got a tremendous team, high fight IQ, no weak areas, jack of all trades, master of none. And I kind of posed that question to him in a very, very shorter version. And he said, he feels like the UFC are flying him down there to get beat. I said, do you really feel like that? And he said, I think I do. He said, and I kind of get it. He said, towards the latter end of 30, what is he, 36, I think. Yeah. He said, I've lost a few fights. I'm 36. Kyle Borhayo on the other side is on a tear. He's doing big things. So that I feel like I've been flown down there as a sacrificial lamb to get beat in front of those people. And I said, well, that's great. Use that. Let that fuel you, and he said, that's exactly what it's done, So Paul, I don't want to give away his game plan. Nah, screw it. He said it on the interview, which is online. He's looking for a knockout. I'm like, Paul, I don't know if that's the way. You're a submission artist. He's like, no, head kick knockout. That's what I'm going for. So, hey, best of luck, Paul. All the best. And Kyle Borhayo's a legend as well. He's a great guy, I'm telling you. So
he's been in this position before. If you remember, Magomed Ankalaev made his UFC debut against Paul Craig, and he came over with all the hype in the world. People, I remember, were like staying up until 3-4 in the morning because it was on some like way out far east card, talking about Ankalaev is a possible future champion, and Paul Craig got the submission in the last second of the third round. So this is a dude who knows what it's like to be flown out to some far-flung destination to essentially do the favors to the new guy, and he said no before, and he said it time and time again, because Paul Craig is that dude, right? This is going on a decade now of him being in the rankings at either light heavyweight or middleweight as a thorn in people's side, as the dude who you got to beat him to get established at the next level, and he does not make it easy for you.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I'm repeating what you said, but to beat Magomed, to beat Jamal Hill, you can't underestimate that guy. But you just said some far-flung destination. Say far-flung destination in a Scottish accent in homage of Paul Craig.
A far-flung destination?
You can't fucking send me to some far-flung destination, right? just to get my ass whooped? You bastard, you. Bastard, so yeah. All right, we're going to talk about Mando, which comes from the makers of Lumi deodorant, and it is clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours, right? If you're a sweaty guy, if you're a sweaty individual, listen, some people are. There's no shame. Maybe you work out, maybe you run hot, maybe you walk fast, maybe you're bloody stressed out to the max, whatever, you're a sweaty bastard, okay? But you don't have to smell. No, Mando will take care of all of this, right? Mando was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It is clinically proven to block odor all day and then control odor for up to 72 hours. It is baking soda free, paraben free, pH balanced, so it's safe to use below the belt if you want to do that. So if you're one of those people that has a bit of a sweaty disposition, like a Harrington, give Mando a try. By the way, it comes in many, many different varieties. It smells absolutely fantastic. And as I said, it is clinically proven to control odor better than a shower and soap alone. And it will stop your body from actually creating the body odor for up to 72 hours. So right now, you got to get yourself over to shopmando.com. When you do that, you will get $5 off the Mando starter pack with the code Bisping. Shopmando.com. Use the code Bisping, and that will equate to over 40% off your starter pack when you go to shopmando.com and you use the code Bisping. Right. Anyway, I sent a few non-MMA stories over.
Yes, okay? You did.
We have 3. We're going to start with this one. It's a man, Brian. There should be a video, and I'm very interested in your take on this, Brian, in a very respectful way, of course. It's a man. I believe it's in England. He's buying some strawberries. It's in a store or a retailer where they only accept card payments. And he approaches and he puts down the coins and he says, there it is, legal tender, £1.19. I'm taking these strawberries. I'm walking out of here. Can we play the video, please, Bri?
Strawberries, and I'm offering exactly the right amount of money here on the help desk. So you people take that money, £1.19, and I will take my strawberries outside.
You can't take that. You can't take that. Police is on their way. You can't take that. Police is on their way. You can't take that.
I paid by legal tender.
No. Don't break the door. Do not break the door.
I paid by legal tender, and I am going out with my strawberries. And I'm going to eat my strawberries. I paid by legal tender in this dystopian place.
Yeah. Well, fair play to that guy. Number one, he's got some balls on him. I like that guy. He raises a very, very good point. You know, he has paid by legal tender. I just saw that today as I was scrolling Instagram, and I thought, you know, there's definitely a good conversation to be had there, because we see it more and more often. Everywhere's leading towards a cashless society. And the problem is, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of other problems that Brian can elaborate us on, but like, for example, with the credit card fees that are associated with it, I mean, they are generating ridiculous amounts of money. And I think it was one of the comments on that video. They said, and it's interesting and it's blatantly obvious, if you make a $50 transaction with $50, they could take that $50 and spend that on $50 else worth of goods. You know, you can buy something else worth $50, and you can do that a million times. If you do that a few times and you're taking $1.50 or $3, depending on the credit card, it's only going to take, I don't know, whatever, without doing the math, 20, 25 transactions or whatever before it's gone. And the credit card companies and the banks are making an absolute shit ton of money. And there's many of other reasons as well. They can track you and all the rest of it. But fair play to that guy.
Yeah, well, in New York, apparently, in November 19th, 2020, stores must accept cash unless they have a machine to convert cash to a prepaid card.
Where is that?
Charge more for paying in cash. That's in New York. So a store cannot be cashless in New York unless they have a fee-free way to convert your money into their preferred method of payment.
Well, that is fantastic, and I'm surprised. You know, but that is really good, because also, you know, not everybody has bank accounts. You know, a lot of people, you know, on the lower end of the socio demographic graphs, shall we say, a lot of people don't have credit cards, and then how are they supposed to pay for things? Some people don't have bank accounts. As crazy as that seems, some people just don't have bank accounts.
I think it's a matter of financial illiteracy. A lot of people I used to be one of these people. I used to not have a bank account, and I used to go to the check cashing place. And then I found out that was really dumb, because having money in a bank account opens doors to other things that allow you to forward your life.
Yeah, financial illiteracy is absolutely correct. You know, I'm not saying you're dumb for that. I'm saying you've hit the nail on the head.
I was.
Yeah, no, but so was I when I was young. I used to go to check cashing places as well, you know, because you start working and then you don't have the bank account set up and you just want to get paid right now. Take it to the check cashing place. I don't give a shit. That's going to be 25%. Take it. I don't care. I'm going out with the boys tonight. And you know what? They need to teach more of that stuff in schools. You know, like real life skills. But Harrington, anything to add before we move on? And I'm surprised, Brian, that you weren't cheerleading the gentleman on.
Oh, I think he's a hero and a champion of the people, because it does turn into a dystopian society. Because one day, if there's no cash, if there's no way to have an uncontrolled, unregistered transaction, they will just shut off your ability to buy things if they don't like your thing, whatever it is.
No, for sure. But so I was reading up the fors and against it, you know, prior, just trying to learn something. And obviously a lot of people fell in line with what we said. And one of the theories also is that whilst we have to, or they, being the retailer that wants it cashless, while they have to respect our freedoms to want to use cash, we have to respect their freedoms to not want to accept cash, because that creates a longer line and that it doesn't flow as smoothly, and they've got to hire more staff.
But
so they can say there's pros and cons.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to not take legal tender for something.
Yeah, it's good for all debts, public and private.
I Googled it. Apparently that's bullshit.
What do you mean?
Unless I Googled that, because that was very interesting, because I wanted to say, when I saw that, I was like, we'll talk about that because there's an interesting conversation. And the article that I saw, and granted it's one article of a million online, it said, contrary to popular belief, there is no rule that says that, which I was surprised, because I thought it was. They call it legal tender, because I was always under the influence of the belief, should I say, that, like, for example, in the UK, and this might be another total bullshit thing that people just kind of believe, and I don't know, maybe that is true or false what we're talking about. You're not allowed to deface a
bill,
currency,
a pound note, currency, because it's defacing the Queen.
American
money is the same thing.
Is this? Oh, so that's true, is it? That is definitely true.
So the problem is with the problem for that is that if you destroy currency, it kills their count. Like, you're destroying the count of money that they printed. That's the real issue behind it. Is you're removing currency from circulation.
Burning money is illegal in the United States and punishable by up to 10 years in jail.
We all burn money when we go to Vegas.
No doubt about it.
We burn it, and somebody else just converts it into fun for us.
Oh no! What is that? Oh, fun tokens. You know what these are? Fun tokens. Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. Good luck on you on the subway home, you smelly bastard, to your ugly wife, or something like that.
Look at that. You were absolutely right. There's no federal statute mandating that a private business, a person, or an organization must accept currency or coins as payment for goods and services. Private businesses are free to develop their own policies on whether to accept cash, unless there's a state law that says otherwise.
I always thought it was. I thought that guy was well within his rights. So, but yeah, apparently not. But at the end of the day, it's an old guy. I don't know how old he was. Let's say 80 years old, perhaps even older. He just wants to buy some bloody strawberries. If you're a big, massive corporation, I don't know, let's just say it was, I don't know, what's one of those? I
think it was an Amazon store.
Right. If Bill Gates is going to prosecute that guy, he needs to get his shit together.
Well, this has happened. I am vaguely recalling an article about this happening in a community, and the community didn't want it to happen. So they literally just stopped buying stuff. But what they would do is they would go into the store, fill up their carts, get to the register. When they didn't accept cash, they'd leave their carts there. Then the staff now has to unpack their carts, redo the thing. Like, they were losing money just on menial tasks, and it was like a protest that actually worked. And then the store stopped the policy and started accepting cash again.
Yeah, well, good, because we all know cash is king.
So what I find most interesting about this, right, this push to get you to use a card for everything, is it's just giving these corporations, and more importantly, the banks and financial institutions, more of your data, right? Like, it gives you data on where you're spending your time, where you're spending your money, what you value, what is most important to you, what do you never miss a payment on, et cetera, et cetera. The more data that they have on that, the better picture they have of you. And I've seen it with Facebook and Twitter and all these different companies. Their data is worth so much more than anything on the platform. Their ad revenue, all of it is data. So if I'm giving that away for free, and I'm being forced to pay a fee in some cases, for them to collect that data on me, that feels wrong, right? Like, either I should be getting a dividend for that data being processed by the company, or at the very least, no fees should be happening while they rack up, a massive bank of data on me.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's a great point, Harrington. And for anyone that doesn't quite follow, for example, they can be like, okay, guys that are between 18 and 24 that live on a certain part of New York, they like to buy this type of soda or whatever it is, and then they collect all that data. There can be a million ways of skewing that, and then they sell that shit and they're making money. And as you said, then they charge you for the luxury. How about this? I've gone out, I've worked my ass off, I've earned some money, and now I want to spend it. Piss off.
Mark it down. 4:29, 4:36 p.m. Harrington has a great take.
Oh my God. That was a good point, Harrington. That was a good point. But we're going to get back to mixed martial arts. You know, there's not a good point to Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson being a professional boxing contest. Because the last I heard, and I'm not being a hater, it's an official fight. It's a professional fight. If Mike Tyson loses, he will have a loss to Jake Paul. And Jake will have a win over Mike Tyson, which, regardless of however you slice it, is something to brag about and be happy about, even though he's 58 years old. So you can win by knockout. The rounds are going to be 2 minutes long. The gloves are going to be 16 ounces. And there's only going to be, or 14 ounces, pardon me. And there's only going to be 8 rounds. It doesn't sound like a professional boxing match.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look, I can't argue with that.
For Jake Paul, I think Mike Tyson, now that this is going to go on his record forever and with his legacy, I think he's going to come in and just blitz the shit out of him in the first minute. I don't think this fight gets out of 2 minutes.
We're going over old ground, right? But
fair enough. Sorry.
No. It's fine. No. I wasn't criticizing. I was going to say something. I was just preempting it for the viewers. We're going over old ground here, but if Jake Paul loses listen, it's Mike Tyson, but still, come on, 58 years old, right? Stop it. Never show your face again. If Jake Paul knocks out a 58-year-old man, that's called elderly abuse.
So
you know what I mean? Murder. You can't win here other than a lot of money. Could you hear that noise?
No.
I think there's a cat.
Oh.
A little cat somewhere. There was one earlier. I heard like, something like that. Anyway, what do you think? What do you think happens?
It's a professional fight, man. Anything can happen. But yeah, I mean, I have to assume. I don't know who the 2 minute rounds favors more, right? Because we've seen Jake Paul's gas tank; it's almost non-existent. But Mike Tyson's 58 years old. I don't know if he has more than 6 or 7 minutes of a 28-year-old coming at him trying to take his head off in him. So, you know.
So I'm in the UK at the moment. I'm just here for a couple of days. And amongst some of the things that I'm doing, I'm trying to get in shape anyway. I've got a big project coming up in the summer. So I've been losing a few pounds. I've been working the bag and all the rest of it. Because I'm going to hit the pads. Right, on Wednesday, I've got, and it's going to be on film. Right. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I ain't making a dick out of myself. Do you know what I mean? And I tell you what, to like, even just do, because I was going to say, well, it's only 2 minutes, right? But if you've never boxed or done anything like that, you underestimate how long 2 minutes is. Certainly in a mixed martial arts fight, and you're in the 5th round, and you're absolutely exhausted, and you're dying, and you look up at the big screen, and you're like, how long's left? And you look,
45 seconds,
and it's like 2 minutes 19 seconds. You're like, for fuck's sake, it's a lifetime. Anyway, so 2 minutes hitting pads nonstop. I'm like, shit, I got to get in shape for this. So Mike Tyson, yeah, he's 58, and the rounds are only 2 minutes long. I think he's still going to get tired after 3 rounds. That said, Jake Paul leaves tremendously massive openings, and he's never fought anyone like Mike Tyson. Anyway,
Mike Tyson has world class boxing skill. Oh. Like, he's never fought somebody who's legitimately a world class boxer.
No, far from it. Far from it. He went the distance with Nate Diaz. He beat Nate Diaz. I'm not shitting on Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is great, and he's a cult-like icon.
A world-class power puncher knocking people out for literally what he's known for.
Do you know what I love watching? It's those videos of a young Mike Tyson and Customato doing the footwork drills, and he's jumping, and Cus is like, no, there, put your foot there, and this, that, and the... Oh, it's just unbelievable. The training, the discipline. He did. He bred a monster in captivity. It's like he took Mike Tyson prisoner and said, no, you're going to get out of this cage, you maniac. I'm telling you, because Mike Tyson, and I love, because Mike Tyson, he's so profoundly eloquent at times. Like, some of the things that he says have real deep, profound meaning to them. When you understand the fight game at a real visceral level, some of the things that Mike Tyson says, you're like, shit, man. That was deep. He understands this game. I'm telling you, he's a maniac, and that's why we love him. But I'm telling you, he knows boxing.
He knows violence, you know?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to think of some of my favorite quotes. There's quite a lot.
I mean, there's some that we're not going to repeat on this show.
There's some that we're not. But there's probably some that we can. There's some that we're not, though. What was that one? I love that one. Oh, I don't want to get into it. We're going to leave that one, though. We're going to quickly move on. Anyway, Harrington, go on. What were we going to say?
Just real before we get off of it.
No, go on.
He said he's given up between now and the fight, since become a pro fight. He's given up sex and smoking. So no weed, no nothing. Are we getting a real killer out of this one?
Shut
he's
up,
come
Harrington.
in looking like he's 20 for like 45 seconds.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
I tell you what.
A 58-year-old man who gives up sex and weed for 3 months? Come on.
Bro, some 58-year-old men don't have sex and don't smoke weed. That doesn't make them automatically effective in the boxing ring. Do you know what I mean? It's like, hey, I'm giving up sex and weed and you're going to be a killer. No. Listen, he's a better boxer. He hits harder. He's meaner. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's definitely more powerful, and he's a better boxer. And you know what? I can see a world where he gets it done. I just think if Jake is smart enough and can get out of 3 rounds, then I think he's just going to be tired. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope Jake Paul knocks him out. And that's not because I'm a hater, because Jake Paul needs putting in his goddamn place.
Stop, reverse that.
What?
Oh, we got it. You said that you hope Jake Paul knocks him out.
Let's see that in instant replay. Right, this episode is brought to you by 8 Sleep, which is the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issues. I've been talking about the 8 Sleep Pod 3 for quite some time. We absolutely love it in our house. It's basically a mattress topper, okay? You just put it over the top of the mattress, and it will cool down the bed or warm it up, whichever one you want. It will cool one side while warming the other side. One side can be as low as 55 degrees, the other as high as 110 degrees, so whichever you want. And then it will, automatically adjust by itself throughout the night. The science shows that a bed's temperature needs to drop in the middle of the night and then slowly rise in the morning, okay? And that's the way to get the best sleep. In addition to keeping you at the perfect temperature, as I say, the pod also tracks your sleep and your health metrics. It will tell you how much deep sleep you had, how much REM sleep. It will tell you your resting heart rate whilst you were asleep. It will even wake you up. The thing, because it runs with water. It's like a little mattress topper. You have a little thing of water. It's super easy to set up. Even I can do it. And then it pumps water through this little mattress thing, the mattress topper. But it's very comfortable. You don't even know it's there. And then if you set the alarm, it just slowly, gently vibrates in the morning. So it's the best way to wake up. You're going to have the best night's sleep ever. You're going to dream like a maniac. And you're going to thank me for introducing you to the 8 Sleep. So all you got to do right now is go to 8sleep.com/Bisping to get $200 off and free shipping. As I say, there's no better way to improve your sleep than the 8 Sleep Pod 3. Go to, one more time, 8sleep.com/Bisping to get $200 off plus free shipping. All right, so what else is going on, Harrington? I'm just looking at the notes here. This one is crazy. Is this a new story? Amanda Hebas has a crazed stalker waiting for her at the Fighter Hotel ahead of her main event with Rose Namajunas. The guy even managed to get into the PI by claiming he was her husband before her manager intervened and got 24-hour security during fight week. What?
Yeah, so apparently he went to Abu Dhabi to Fight Island back in the day when Ribas was fighting there. He got a picture with her and started posting on his social medias, Facebook, whatever. This is my wife, meet my beautiful wife. It said he created a whole fantasy where he was married to this woman.
Oh, that's how I got all my girlfriends.
Then during that, Hebas had absolutely no idea about this, right? So he shows up during fight week when she's supposed to be fighting Namajunas. He's waiting at the Fighter Hotel with a giant teddy bear and something that's I think it flowers or something like that. He goes to give it to her. She's gives it to her staff. She's like, oh, I accepted it. It was a nice gift or whatever. She comes down the next day to go to the PI, and the guy is waiting for her at reception, being like, honey, I love you. And he's like, She's like, I can't be doing this right now. Then later in the day, he shows up to the PI. He's like, yeah, I'm Amanda's husband. Like, I'm here to see her. And they were like, oh, okay, come on. And they're like, yeah, they called the manager. Hey, her husband's here. He's like, what the hell? Goes down, gets rid of the guy. He left apparently before the fight happened and posted on his Facebook that they are now separated, but he does wish her the best.
Oh my God. The commitment to the delusion. You know, that's like the kind of way he had to get a bit of closure. Okay. We've split up everybody. And he still wanted like the clout on social media. I wish her the best. You know, I'm going to be the bigger man about it. Okay. Irreconcilable differences. We just couldn't get, and her voice was driving me crazy. So we had to part company. Listen, that dude, I don't know what he looks like, but I guarantee Amanda Hebus would kick the shit out of him. Okay. Oh, yeah. Amanda Hebus is a badass. And some of these, I was going to say these guys that do that, 9 times out of 10, they're fat, overweight, slobby, you know, sad, pathetic types.
Or like really mousy, P-word kind of dudes.
A lot of time inside on the computer, not a lot of time being outside.
Yeah. He's not getting his steps in. He's not hitting the gym. No. He's not using the chalk.com. He's not replacing anything, right? That guy's a loser of the highest degree. But I tell you what, that's why girls are going to learn martial arts. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
And as a father, I'm annoyed because my daughter doesn't know martial arts. But that's it. When I get back, we're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu intensive 101. Okay.
I want to ask you about that. Did you ever try to get Ellie into BJJ?
Now she's open to doing it, but she's so obsessed with horse riding. She doesn't really have the time. She's at the barn every morning at 6 a.m. But she is kind of open to doing it. I've done a bit of kickboxing with her and stuff. She's flexible, you know. Used to be a dancer, a ballet dancer before you will start. And now she rides horses. She's obsessed with it. But no, you know, like I took the boys and Rebecca took Ellie, and, you know, they did more kind of girly pursuits, if you will, which, you know, makes sense. But for girls, I mean, listen, if you're the father of a young girl and you're concerned for the safety, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the one. Any kind of person that's trying to do anything, you know, to molest them, where does he want to be? Between the legs. Simple as that. The most powerful position, or one of, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And a guy that doesn't know what to do, he's going to be choked out, armbarred, triangled before he even knows what's going on, you know.
So I was thinking, like, what, like, because I do want to get Aura into it as early as possible. So I'm wondering, like, at what age do you think it makes sense to start taking her to classes?
Earlier the better. Yeah. Because when the kids are really young, like really young, they don't even know. Like if it's a good school, they don't even know that they're necessarily doing martial arts. They kind of, you know, yeah, of course they know they're doing martial arts. You know, they've got a gi on, for crying out loud. But they orientate it in a really fun way. And there's a lot of games involved and stuff like that. And it's not too serious. Like Callum used to go to a school, Maurizio Tinguina's the inventor of the Spider Guard. Shout out Maurizio Tinguina. And yeah, you know, they make it really fun and engaging. And yeah, they learn positions and they do some submissions and stuff like that. But slowly as they start to mature, it gets a little bit more serious, And, you know, the younger they can do it. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the one because there's no impact on the body. Like even Lucas, because Lucas goes to the den now in Yorba Linda. And he starts training at 6. He does like an hour of jiu-jitsu, depending on the day. It could be an hour of wrestling. And then after that, he does like an hour of Thai boxing or Muay Thai, kickboxing, whatever. And then they spar and stuff. And on the Monday, it's jiu-jitsu. On the Wednesday, it's wrestling. So on Monday, because we started having early dinners, right? On the Monday, I said, oh, do you want to have your dinner before you go? He said, yeah, it's fine. Right. But it's fine because in jiu-jitsu, he's like, a lot of the time I'm sitting on my ass. Do you know what I mean? Until the end when you roll. But by then the dinner's worn off. He went on Wednesday, he did the same thing, but he forgot it was wrestling. He said, oh my God, I was nearly throwing up. I'm having to shoot blast doubles and all the rest of it. I've just had bloody, you know, turkey burgers and stuff. Yeah. So don't do wrestling on a full stomach, but you can do jiu-jitsu. All right, this episode is sponsored by Choq.com. That is CHOQ.com. Listen, I've been talking about Choq products for quite some time. They specialize in all natural testosterone boosters. If you're getting older, your testosterone will be dropping. If you haven't got the same amount of energy or drive to get up and go, whether it's in the bed or in your life, maybe it's in the gym, maybe you're working out like a maniac and you're not seeing any results, you're getting a little bit fat, a little bit saggy, and you just don't feel like the man that you used to be, then the testosterone is dropping. And as that drops, the muscle mass drops unless you're lifting weights regularly. And when the muscle mass drops, then you're going to add more flab. So you got to take care of this. There's absolutely no taboo in using a testosterone booster, certainly as you're starting to age. And Choq is very proud to stand above all the rest in the most natural testosterone booster available on the market. As I say, they only use clean, pure, and healthy products. Choq uses full disclosure labeling. They tell you exactly the amount of each ingredient. There's no label fluffing, no underdosing, and all ingredients are measured to exact clinical research. As I said, Choq Daily is the cleanest research-based testosterone booster available. Along with Choq Daily, be sure to check out the Male Vitality Stack and the Stack Ultra. And by the way, when you go to the website Choq.com, that is CHOQ.com, when you're there, use the code Bisping. You're going to get a massive 35% off your order. So Choq.com is the website. The code is Bisping and 35% is the discount. Do yourself a favor, invest in your testosterone, and do that by going to Choq.com and using the code Bisping for 35% off. Anyway, let's move on. What else have we got? Well, we're going to talk about this, I guess. History was made at the weekend. I never saw it. Charly Arnolt. I was going to reach out, by the way, Charly Arnolt, the voice of the Octagon. I was going to try and get her on the show, but I didn't. Maybe I'll try and get her on in the future. Charlie's great to work with. So what happened? What was the circumstances? I know Joe Martinez got sick, but I'm in England. Have you got any more details?
Yeah, so it happened mid-fight. I'm looking down the card to see where on the thing it happened. I think it was during the Karine Silva versus Ariana De Silva, the featured bout before the co-main. Martinez introduced the fight, but apparently he fell ill and his voice was flagging while he was doing the introductions. So he said, I'm going to take, a couple of fights off, I guess, drink some tea. He eventually came back for the main event, but she read the scorecard for that fight, and then she did the pre and post fight for Guskov versus Span. So that made her the first female voice of the Octagon.
Damn, I'm disappointed. The only reason I say that is because I wanted to hear, because I haven't seen a video of it anywhere. I looked online. I wanted to, because if she was doing it all night and she had to do the main event, you know what I mean? I wanted to see Charlie's version, you know what I mean? Screaming, in the blue corner, giving it one of them. Because remember, I don't know what her name was. Remember the Pride announcer back in the day? The female?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. She was good, man. She was good.
She would get fired up.
Yeah. Fired up big time. She had an iconic voice. So I was kind of interested to see. Brian, we don't have a video, do we, by any chance?
So I think I put in the video of her reading the Silva versus De Silva scorecard. I can see if I can find one of her doing the introduction.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Fair play to her, though. Because you know what? Listen, that takes a lot of balls to do, right? We know most people are aware public speaking is probably one of the biggest phobias that people have. And even when, she's a presenter, she's on Fox Sports and Gutfeld and stuff like that. Of course, she does Power Slap and UFC stuff. She's no stranger. I think she has a podcast and stuff like that. So she's no stranger to public speaking. But even still, stepping in the octagon, because even me, for example, as much as I've done, even still, when you step into that cage and you've got to interview the fighters, you know what I mean? Sometimes there's a little bit of butterflies because you're like, shit, I've got to ask an intelligent question here. Do you know what I mean? What am I going to ask this guy? Right. And you're thinking. And the hard part is because I'll be sitting there and I'll be thinking, man, I'll just quickly tally in my questions in my head. Oh, I'll ask him about this and I'll ask him about that. Right. Okay. But then the cornerman, whoever's fighter is, the cornerman's grabbing me. Hey, Bisping, what did you think about that? And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because you don't want to be rude. But then after be like, dude, just leave me alone a second. I'm going to speak on national TV, international TV in a second. And currently, I haven't formulated a good question. Okay? Just fuck off. Leave me alone a second so I don't make a dick out of myself. what I'm saying is respect to Charly Arnolt, because she could have very easily said no. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure it wasn't her idea. I'm assuming, or maybe it was, but the UFC would have said, who can do this? They went to Charly, and she seized the day. She grabbed the bull by the horns. She became the first ever female ring announcer for the UFC. Congratulations. I mean, that you got to respect the courage, because I'm telling you, when that's not your job in anything in this life, stepping out and doing something outside of your comfort zone, it's never easy.
Yeah, especially when there's no net, right? Like there's absolutely, you're on live TV. If you screw up at all, that's going out on the broadcast, whether you like it or not. There is no second take. So, credit to her. And you could hear, I do believe you could hear she was a little bit nervous in that first time on the microphone, but I'm telling you, she picked up the rhythm pretty quickly, and it was like, oh, this is nice. This is a real nice change of pace, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I mean, she would have been nervous. The thing is as well, because the acoustics, for people that have never been on stage, and I sound like a knobhead when I say this, but it's true. Certainly when you're in the octagon, in a packed arena with 20,000 people, and you're talking and you're having a conversation, it's hard to hear your own voice. It's hard to hear the fighters as well. So you really got to pay attention to lip read them to a certain degree. When I was doing Tales from the Octagon as well, sometimes you talk and like you can't hear yourself properly unless you have good monitors and stuff like that. So anyway, well done to Charly. Well done to Charly. And yeah, we'll get her on the podcast. What's next, Harrington?
Well, I mean, I think I really want to talk about this because I found this super interesting. Did you hear about Gilbert Arenas?
Is he a basketball player?
He is a basketball player. He is a former Washington Wizards. Former Washington Wizards
Love
star. All-star.
The Washington Wizards. Can I just say that some American sports team have the corniest names ever?
Oh, yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
To be fair, before they were the Wizards, they were the Bullets, and people were like, nah, you got to change your name, dude.
The Washington Bullets?
Yeah.
Well, what's some of the worst ones? I mean, there's some bad ones.
The Orlando Magic is pretty lame.
No, that's okay. Orlando Magic. Yeah, this is like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some bad ones.
We used to have
there's
the
some bad
Oilers
ones.
in football.
I mean, Los Angeles, the Raiders is Las Vegas Raiders. That's cool. I'm trying to think. Nothing springs to mind, but I've heard some bad ones anyway. I've heard some cheesy names.
The Chargers?
No, Chargers.
What, you an iPhone?
It's
nothing
football.
wrong with Chargers.
They're charging at you.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. Like for an American football team, that's pretty apt. That's on the money. Right. But anyway, the Washington Wizards can go themselves. That's a terrible name. Anyway, tell me the story.
All right, so Gilbert Arenas, he was dating a girl for, I think it was like 6 or 8 months or something like that. They ended up having a child together. So he got her a $400,000 ring when he proposed to her. They broke up right shortly after, about 8 days later. And she was like, all right, I'm keeping the ring. He was like, all right, I can't let that stand. So he got back together with her. Right? Let her move back in. They played house. It was fine. He had a $10,000 fake ring made up. And one day while she was in the shower or something, he swapped them out and then put the $400,000 ring into his safety deposit box. They were fine. She was wearing that ring for about 2-3 months before he finally said, all right, enough is enough. We're done here. They broke up. He got custody of their kids. At that point, she went scorched earth on him. She started bad-mouthing him on social media. And one of her friends pointed out, hey, you should get this ring appraised, see if it's actually a $400,000 ring. When she brought it in, she realized it was a fake. She tried to sue him over the duplicity of swapping out the rings. She lost in court.
Yeah, I wish you didn't tell me about the kids.
What do you mean?
Well, because I was going to laugh at all this, and now it's someone's like private life with children involved. If there wasn't children involved, you can make fun all day long. You know what I mean? Because I want to know, like, how do you propose to somebody, buy a $400,000 ring, right, and then eight days later be like, yeah, nah, this ain't the one.
Basketball players get tricked a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. So
this is a complete W in my book. The dude with all the money got the kids. I'm sure he's going to treat them very well. The gold digger got birded on her ring. Yeah. And this is just a W for the good guys.
Oh, no, 100%. I'm not saying that. I was just like, the kids. But anyway, forget the kids. Yeah. I mean, listen, 400,000, the man's a very, very wealthy dude, no question about it. Just look up his net worth. I mean, I'm sure these basketball players, he was a star, right? So in the NBA, he probably had a massive contract. So, you know.
I think he signed one $100 million plus contract over the course of his career. So
wow. So yeah, $400,000.
$60 million over the course.
Wow. Okay, so $400,000 to him, when it's all relative, isn't really that much. But I still respect the fact that he wasn't all nonchalant and blasé about it. He's like, no, I don't want to be with you, and I want that $400,000 ring back. Who cares if I've made $116 million?
So that's a couple of Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like 5, well, 7, 8. I don't know what it is these days. It's fluctuating. Yeah. To go to those lengths. I mean, is this story 100% true? Because if she was so crazy and such a gold digger, manipulative piece of work, which is, I'm assuming, is what kind of came out, and that's why he called it off 8 days later, to then go back and keep up this ruse for 8 months. I don't know if it's worth your sanity when you're worth 116 million to go through this whole thing for 8 months with a psycho that you don't like.
Sometimes you have to do the hard thing.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to take the hard path. I was saying that, I guarantee she was a good looking girl. You know, that 8 months, she probably had some fun occasions.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, who knows what the argument was over, right? It could have been his misdeeds that made the split happen anyway. And then when he's like, you know, baby, I've changed. Why don't you come move back in? It's like, all right, you kind of got to at that point lay out for a little bit.
Harrington has spun the narrative.
I don't know.
No. You're right. So now, what was his name again?
Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas is a cheating piece of shit. Okay, he cheated on his wife or fiance. Then he got back with her for a minute, switched out the rings. That's the Harrington spin. I like it. No. Hey, listen, it's you shouldn't laugh at it because it's somebody's personal relationship. But I saw that and I was like, I mean, it's pretty gangster. He's like, I'm having that ring back.
I don't care what the excuse is. If that ring is a marriage contract, if you're not going to get married, the ring goes back. Period. That's how it should be.
I 100% agree. And initially that was going to be my point. If you're not going to get married, if you say no, regardless, I think on either side, I think any woman with like real dignity, all jokes aside, would say, I don't want that ring. 400,000 is a lot of dignity to give back, though. So, you know, you got to have a lot of dignity. You know what I'm saying?
When she's not making, like, she was shooting for child support, obviously, if he got custody of the kids.
Well, we don't know this.
I'm making very
wild, outlandish claims.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I do here sometimes. Well, like, you know, if she was just gold digging, like, he won. He got away with all the things.
They have 4 kids together. I don't know how long she could have been quote unquote gold digging. That's a lot of kids to have.
Yeah. All right. No, new information.
Yeah. Harrington's you're doing a good job, Harrington. You're playing both sides. I mean, the problem is that, well, just keeping on the gold digger vibe. And we don't know she was gold digging, but, you know, you got to think maybe there was a bit of that. We don't know, though. But you see these videos all the time, don't you, now, of these women that, I don't know who it is. You see a lot of them on Instagram. Like, well, would you date a guy that does this? How much has a guy got to make to be able to take you out and all the rest of it? You've seen these things, haven't you?
Oh, of course.
Are these real videos, or are these women that scandalous that they will openly admit that they are so financially motivated?
Well, I think so I think what it is it's that guy is sitting out there for 3-4 hours interviewing girls for the 30-second clip of one of them saying something outlandish.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think, you know, it seems like a lot because we get bombarded with it on social media, but that's probably 1 out of every 150 girls.
And also, a lot of those are from like those like dude podcasts where they just bring on dumb chicks to.
Oh no, I know. What is that? Is it the Whatever podcast?
Whatever, and then there's another Fresh and Fit. They do the same thing.
I've never seen the Whatever podcast, but I've seen Whatever on the walls, on the back of the clips that I see on YouTube Shorts and on Instagram. And they do bring on some brain dead specimens.
Yeah, top of the heap.
Oh, they're good ones.
Oh, yeah.
They're good ones.
But
my God,
it's an outlier of chick. It's not the norm, the majority. Yeah, but it is pushed in everybody's face like it is everyone, and I feel like that's a huge problem for people's mentals.
It is, and that's why you can't believe everything you see in social media, and you can't believe all these narratives that are out there. And that's why generally a lot of issues that you hear about, not all of them, there's a lot of real issues, of course, but there's a lot of wild issues right now that are pretty much caused and highlighted by a very vocal minority, So anyway, we'll leave that one there. I'm not sure what we're drifting into right now, but it ain't gold digging engagement rings. Anyway, Harrington, this is an MMA podcast, as I always say. What have we got?
So I don't know what you thought about this. Max Holloway says that he doesn't think it's right that they didn't classify the shot he took. I think it was in the 4th round against Justin Gaethje as a knockdown, right? Like UFC Stats and Information or ESPN Stats and Information came out and said Max Holloway still hasn't been knocked down despite this happening. And he went on Joe Rogan and said, that's absolutely insane. Give Justin Gaethje his credit because he took that O from me and doesn't understand why it's not classed as a knockdown.
Yeah, no, I saw that. And, man, you just got to respect Max Holloway so much because here's a guy that's never been knocked out. Until that fight had never been knocked down. We all know how amazing the fight was and how exciting and how much of a gangster and a warrior attitude that he showed and pointing at the ground and then face planting him, And he wasn't awarded the knockdown. So he could have easily gone along with that narrative and been like, I don't know why they gave a knockdown. That wasn't a knockdown. But no, he says, what the f***? The opposite way. He's like, I was knocked down. He said, I didn't know where I was for a second. When that punch hit me kind of like the top of my head, I didn't know where it was. I do remember watching it live and not being sure myself, because it happened so quick and Max kind of bounced back up. And I was like, was that a slip? Was it a real knockdown? The stats never gave it as a knockdown. Brian, just look up. I know in boxing, if you receive a shot and that shot causes you to have to put your hand on the canvas to support yourself so you don't fall over, that's classed as a knockdown. But I don't know if it's the same ruling in mixed martial arts. You think I would, but I'm not entirely sure that. I know the boxing classification, and I think I'm pretty much on the money there.
So... Oops, sorry. The ruling here is a knockdown occurs when a fighter touches the floor with any part of the body other than the feet following a hit.
Yeah.
Is able to rise back up and continue fighting. So it's
it's the same as boxing. That's what I was talking about. Any part of the body other than the feet. I said the hand, but if your knees touch the floor, you're down. If your ass touches the floor, you're definitely down. The most minor thing would be you touch the canvas with your hand for a second because you lost balance, just like the way Anderson Silva did at the end of round 1 when we fought. It was a knockdown, baby. Fuck you. And in round 2, love you, Anderson. And for Max Holloway to come out and do that and just admit, hey, I was knocked down. You got to love that guy.
Dude, it's so cool. It's so for him to be, he has been on the give Justin Gaethje credit for my $600,000 night tour since the moment that fight ended. And I respect the hell out of it.
Well, that's even better though, isn't it? Going out there and giving credit, giving respect, being cool. People respect that, certainly when it comes from somebody like a Max Holloway that is such a gangster in the octagon or the ring or whatever it is, it just shows you don't have to talk. I mean, Max he's not a shit talker, really. He might dismiss 1 or 2 comments here and there. He might have a quip, a little comeback, but he's not the type of guy that does that. He's just the type of guy that says, all right, it is what it is. We'll see on the night. I remember you probably saw that video of a young Max Holloway. I think he was 16 years old. Have you seen that?
It's ringing some bells.
Brian, just see if you can bring this up because it is inspirational, though. He's talking about giving up. He says, giving up? What's that? What's giving up? And then he goes into, how he was raised in a household where there was a lot of drugs around and things like that. So he always had to fight his entire life. But he's He's there it is. Give me some sound, brother.
You didn't even give up. Like, what is that? Like that, if you give up, you certified a loser. If you try, you at least win in your book. My mom and my dad, I knew there was heavy drug users, and then my dad would always beat up my mom. I think so that her drugs was like her medicine, like would calm her stress. The last time I saw my dad was when I was like 10, 11 years old, and then I never see him after that. I still pray for him, but like he has no use in my life anymore.
Wow. You know, I mean, where do you start with that? But I love what he said there. If you quit, if you give up, you're a certified loser. Because it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you know what I mean? But if it's something you really want to achieve, listen, if you're quitting something that, you know, isn't ever going to happen, and you're just wasting your own time, you're just chasing the dream, and you're doing it for the right, smart, correct reasons, it's having a negative impact on things, you know. But if it's like it's something and you're giving up because the going gets tough, the going gets hard, and you can't take it anymore, you know, wow. It's like a wise man once said, quitters never win. Max Holloway, I would love to get him on this podcast. Reach out, believers. Tell him to get on here. All right, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp, that offer therapy done online conveniently at your schedule, and it's going to help you become the best version of you. Now, that sounds like cliche buzzwords, but it's true. We all know we've got issues, okay? Our loved ones know it, our children know it, our wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. They all know we've all got issues. Maybe you're one of the perfect ones that hasn't. Maybe you were just born that way. You're like Rebecca, absolutely perfect, okay? But most of us, we do have something going on. And whatever it is, speaking to somebody, a licensed professional that BetterHelp can offer you, they will help. Whether it's an anger issue, whether it's a substance abuse issue, alcohol, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, BetterHelp will help. And it's all done entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So what are you waiting for? No one needs to know. If you're slightly embarrassed about this, and by the way, you shouldn't be, nobody needs to know. You can be in your car. You can go sit in a car park, a parking structure, as you say in America. You can do it anywhere. Do it at home. Do it in your bedroom. Do it on the toilet at work. Do it wherever you want, okay? Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. All you got to do is visit betterhelp.com/believe to get 10% off your first month. That is betterhelp.com/believe for 10% off your first month. Oh, so here's what I wanted to talk about, Harrington. We've all seen that Francis Ngannou, and by the way, terrible news regarding Francis Ngannou. I just saw earlier that his 18-month-old child passed away, his son. I don't know any of the details. I'm not sure if that's even public, but he did kind of put a tweet out there. So obviously all of our deepest sympathies and condolences. Can only imagine what he's going through right now. I didn't even know Francis Ngannou had children. Apparently he's got 4 boys, lives a very private life in that regard. And for whatever reason, one child has passed away, 18 months old. So on behalf of everyone here at the Believe in Me podcast, or of course, deepest, most sincere condolences. Can only imagine what he's going through. But we're not going to discuss that at any length because I don't want to be disrespectful to the situation, you know, but it's awful because they fighting. This is why we do it, to take care of our family. And then that happens. It's just, man, I can only imagine what he's going through. Anyway, I was saying Francis Ngannou, we've all seen this. He had the record for punching that punch bag machine. Hits it as hard as a Ford Escort going 1,000,000 miles an hour. Okay. Then, or something like that. I know it wasn't that. A Ford Escort going 70 miles an hour, whatever it was, and everyone called bullshit. Then Alex Pereira breaks that. And then now, apparently, UK strongman, Eddie Hall, the beast. Oh, do we have video? Let's have a look.
The record's 191. What? 68. 68. What? 208. Nice.
So Eddie Hall now has the hardest punch out of anyone that's hit that machine at the PI, the Performance Institute. Eddie Hall's a strong guy, no doubt incredibly explosive, one of the strongest human beings on the face of planet Earth. That doesn't necessarily equate to throw in the hardest punch. Not talking shit, Eddie, but I'm not the only one that has his suspicions, am I?
No. So Chael Sonnen put out a tweet. He's like, hey, I thought everybody was in on the bit. So because I keep getting sent this, I'm going to let you losers know it's all about where the sensor is, right? So that machine has one sensor in it, and it's all about where you touch in relation to that sensor with your punch that determines, what your score is going to be on that.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about that machine. I've never been on it. I've never hit it. And if anybody was around, and certainly if cameras were around, I would not be hitting it. I'm reminded of when after Cyril Gane beat, who was it? The Russian dude, the polar bear, Sergei Spivak in Paris. Then afterwards, we went with Cyril Gane's after party, and they had one of those punch bag machines, and they were all punching it and whatnot. I wasn't too far behind them, to be fair. But anyway, Tom Aspinall was hitting it recently. But anyway, so I've never hit that thing. And I don't know, but Chael might be onto a point here, because you know what? Like, you go to fairs at Knott's Berry Farm in California. They have one of those. You pick up the giant hammer and you smack like the bell thing, and then it goes up, right? We were there years ago, Knott's Berry Farm, the whole family, buddy of mine called Damien and his family, and they got one of them, and we're having fun. And we're taking it in turns. And Callum's having a go. Damien's having a go. I'm having a go. Like, really, everything I've got, right? Rebecca comes along, and the woman that was running the stand, if you will, said, listen, it's all about where you place it. She said, hold it. So she held it up, or she measured it so it would land perfectly. Then Beck held it up above her head, and then just gently just let it go. Didn't even swing into it, but landed perfect placement and beat all of us. So I think what Chael's saying there, he may have a point.
Yeah, I mean, there's you can always game the system, right? Like if there's a computer involved, you can find a way to find some kind of an advantage. Whether or not Eddie Hall knew that going into it, who knows? But I mean, it's a pretty viral clip for a reason.
The internet is awful for carnies. I just Googled like carnival hammer game trick as you were explaining it, and it said exactly that. You can just Google any of the carnival games and what their like rub is and how to get around it.
No, I'm sure you can. But let me ask you this. So whether or not it's gamed, and whether or not there's a system and there's a proper point where you've got to connect, answer me this question. Who would you rather take? Who would you least rather take a punch of? Francis Ngannou, Alex Pereira, Eddie Hall, or Tom Aspinall? I mean, there's no right answer.
Fucking shoot me. What do you want?
I tell you right now, the least person, if my life was like, it's Francis Ngannou. That would be the one that I would like. All right, if I'm going to take three, I'm taking it of them three. But don't give me Francis. Don't give me the Predator, for crying out loud.
You got to have Alistair Overeem neck muscles to keep your head on your shoulders if you're going to take one of those punches.
And even Alistair was almost decapitated.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Almost decapitated. That was one hell of a shot. Right, it's super late here in England, Harrington, so I'm not going to keep this one going for too much longer. I do apologize, believers. Is there anything that we absolutely have to get to before we wrap up? I'm sure there's some big ones in here.
No.
Okay.
Well, which one?
No, nothing. I'm knackered. Rebecca's in bed. It's dark. I'm in England. I'm 6 hours ahead of you. I'm ready for bed. I've got neck pain. My pet's heads are falling off. I've had half a glass of wine. Anything?
There's one. There's one that, I mean, you skipped over it at the very beginning of the show, so I wasn't sure if it was anything you wanted to talk about at all. So we, but Mike Perry got the win at Knucklemania over the weekend, and he had one name on his mind after he got the win, and that was our boy, friend of the show, Darren Till.
Yeah, I saw it. You've put it in the quotes right here. Let's have a look. Mike Perry, by the way, we know, what is he, the king of violence? Mm-hmm. The king of violence is unbelievable. I mean, talk about being a natural fit. Bare Knuckle was showing like some highlights of some of his fights leading up to Saturday night against Thiago Alves. Man, he's insane in the best way. He is so perfect for bare knuckle. He's just a monster at that shit.
It's so crazy that he went from being like a middling UFC dude to just the king of bare knuckle.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And he's earning an absolute fortune as well. What was the quotes, Harrington? I can't see it.
So he said, what he had said was before the fight that Darren Till turned him down because they wanted him for that Thiago Alves spot. He says that he claims BKFC offered Darren Till $2 million. And when he jumped on the microphone, he did call him fat. He was like, "Get your fat ass in the gym and get to training and come fight me."
Now, if everything we read on the internet is correct, apparently, because the California State Athletic Commission released the salaries for Saturday night, and Mike Perry was paid $600,000. So you're saying that their non-champion who's never fought once in bare knuckle was offered $2 million, which is over three times what Mike Perry gets paid?
Yeah. If I had to guess, it would probably be a situation like they offered him a 4-fight, $500,000 a piece contract or something like that. That would make sense. And he turned down like a $2 million contract to fight Mike Perry, in quotes, you know?
I find that curious. I mean, I'm not going against what Mike Perry says. I love Mike Perry. We've got to get him on the show again. I'm a massive fan. I just don't know if Darren Till's going to turn down $2 million. Darren's a fighter. He loves to fight. He's got great boxing, fantastic hands. Is he in a position where he can turn down $2 million? I don't know if he is. And I don't mean that as an insult. I don't think a lot of fighters generally, unless, are in a position to turn down $2 million for one fight, 4 fights, 3 fights, whatever the case may be. But I do want to see that fight, though. Darren Till, Mike Perry would be absolutely fantastic. Well done, by the way, Mike Perry. Saturday night, getting the job done over Thiago Alves. First round, I do believe. And then, of course, that's not all the bare knuckle news. They have a new high-profile investor, owner, goes by the name of Conor McGregor.
So Feldman said that he got into the McGregor business when Conor jumped in the cage during, Perry Rockhold last year. He said that he hit them up and they had Black Forge, the McGregor's beer, sponsoring them. And as a result, McGregor and a lot of his people started going to a lot of BKFC events. McGregor just fell in love with it, put up some cash, and he's now partial owner. According to Feldman, he said, "I was telling my wife it would be my dream if McGregor would call me. Now the guy won't stop ringing the phone off the hook."
Well, listen, McGregor's a fantastic businessman. What he's done with the help of his manager, Ori Ator, the empire that they built is phenomenal. With McGregor being involved, it's only going to be a huge addition. I'm surprised to hear that he had to write a check. If he did, I can't imagine it was very big, because just having McGregor's name attached to it, having that kind of star power, it's going to attract not only viewers, sponsorships, fighters. McGregor is as big as it comes. Simple as that. And McGregor being involved with that, and bare knuckle being the product that it is, because that shit's exciting. I've never sat down and watched a full event yet. I've only seen the clips on YouTube and stuff afterwards. But man, some of those fights, they are gruesome, but in a very, very entertaining way.
Yeah, I commented on this on Saturday because I woke up to like one of those highlights just raging on my timeline. And it's like, this is the perfect product for Sunday morning Twitter videos, because the whole fight can be done in 90 seconds. And it's an extremely entertaining back and forth war that I can get in while I'm, drinking my coffee and scrolling through social media.
I never got to see Mike Perry, Thiago Alves. I did kind of, not worry. That's a strong word for Thiago Alves. He's been retired for a long time. He's doing a sensational job coaching at American Top Team, whereas Mike Perry's just on fire. So I was like, it's probably going to be a tough one for Thiago Alves. I think it was first round. Did you see it? How did it go?
It was like a Mike Perry fight in BKFC. Like, he kind of just ran through him. I mean, he did bloody Perry, right? Like, Perry did have blood coming out of his mouth there. But, as far as those go, I haven't seen anybody really test Perry yet.
Well, Michael Venom Page went to a decision with him, went to a draw, and then they went to extra time, extra round, sudden death, whatever you call it. Anyway, listen, we're going to save the questions for Monday because I'm exhausted. I'm on the other side of the world. And when I say Monday, you probably think I mean Thursday. Well, I got to tell you right now, boys and girls, only one show. Anthony is in Brazil. I am in England. Harrington is in New York. And yes, we have the power of the Wi-Fi and laptops and cameras and all the rest of it. But I ain't doing one on Thursday, okay? Because I can't do it. I've got too many obligations on, which is a shame. But I will be doing something around UFC 301, and we will be back on Monday, Harrington.
Oh, if you are listening on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, make sure to subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating, positive review. It really helps out on those platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel and you hit that notification bell to find out whenever a new episode drops. And if you want to catch over 500 episodes you can't find anywhere else, completely ad-free and totally uncensored, head to gasdigital.com. Use the promo code BYM14. Get a 2-week free trial. Check out over 20 great shows on the network.
And if you are here at this time and you see my face very, very, what's the word? Overlit, washed out, we appreciate you for sticking around this long and supporting the podcast. As I say, we'll be back on Monday with hopefully a victorious Anthony Smith. Let's go. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the fights.